Hello everyone! Welcome back to another Sobrii Mixology Masterclass. I'm so glad to have you guys back. We had another mixology class a couple weeks ago. We did a lot. We learned a lot with Sobrii Zero Gin, and tonight is all about Sobrii Zero Tequila. So my name is Deandra, and I do marketing and mixology here for Sobrii. So tonight we are going to be creating a paloma cocktail. So if you guys want to follow along, I would love it if you created cocktails at home along with me. And if you would like to, you are going to need the following ingredients. Hopefully you have Sobrii Zero Tequila at home. You'll need Sobrii Zero Tequila. You will need Fever Tree's pink grapefruit soda. You will also need freshly squeezed lime juice, so you can squeeze a lime, and also agave syrup. Now you can get this at any grocery store. Most grocery stores carry this, so it's actually quite easy to find. Now if you don't have the Fever Tree sparkling pink grapefruit, there are a couple of alternatives. You can also use grapefruit juice and soda water. That works just well as well. And you can also use grapefruit bitters and soda water. So that works as well. Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining us. I'm seeing a lot more people hop in. Tonight we are making a Zero Paloma cocktail with Sobrii Zero Tequila. So I hope you guys get ready so that you can enjoy these cocktails at home with me. And while you guys are grabbing your ingredients and searching your kitchens to see what you've got, I'm going to talk a little bit more about Sobrii Zero Tequila. So you can understand a little bit more about, why it tastes the way it tastes and some of the inspiration. So in order to understand Sobrii Zero Tequila, we need to think a little bit about traditional tequila. And traditional tequila is distilled from the blue agave plant. From the blue agave plant in the city of Tequila in Mexico. The city is called Tequila. That's where tequila gets its name. So really, really interesting. And so when you taste traditional tequila, you will taste that agave flavor really coming forward. Now, when it comes to the Zero Tequila, we had to take a little bit of a different approach. Because when it comes to traditional tequila, there is a lot of complexity and a lot of differences with the tequilas that you'll have on the market because of things like the aging process, how, what kind of barrels it's aged in and how long it is aged for. That can introduce different layers of flavor profiles and complexity to tequila. So when it comes to a non-alcoholic spirit to emulate that tequila, we really had to be thoughtful in our approach. But of course, we wanted to have that blue agave flavor come forward very strong for this product. So quick reminder, because I do want to point out that Sobrii Zero Tequila is not for shot taking. It is not meant to be drank straight at all. I know there's a bit of a misconception out there with zero or non-alcoholic spirits, but they're really not meant to be enjoyed straight because there is a really strong flavor profile, especially when it comes to Sobrii. We really want that flavor profile coming forward in your cocktails. So we have formulated the product in order to have those flavor profiles really interact well with the mixer that you're choosing. So for that reason, it's really meant and designed to be mixed into a cocktail. Now with tequila, there are a lot of different cocktails that you can choose from. There's a lot of traditional cocktails out there, and you can swap out your traditional tequila for the non-alcoholic Zero Tequila. It's absolutely fine. So tonight we are going to be making the Zero Paloma. For those of you just joining us, for those of you who are following along and joining us, we need to grab your Sobrii Zero Tequila, your Fever Tree pink grapefruit soda, some agave syrup, and lime juice. Okay, so grab everything that you need, get ready before we dive into the cocktail making. All right, so before we keep going, I also want to mention that Sobrii Zero Tequila, in comparison to our first product, our Sobrii Zero Gin, the tequila has a lot less of a citrus forward flavor. And the reason for that is a lot of the cocktails that you would traditionally use tequila in, like your margaritas or your palomas, have a lot of citrus in the mixers. So In your margarita, the lime or the orange juice, in your paloma, the grapefruit juice, those mixers are very, very citrus forward. So in the product, we wanted to pull back on that citrus a little bit, and instead we've introduced a little bit of a spice. So in the product, we've used botanicals, including jalapenos and black peppers, to give you that sort of Mexican spice and that flavor that you would expect in those cocktails. In comparison to Sobrii Zero Gin, there is a little bit more of that citrus forward flavor in the gin. All right, so enough of the backstory. Let's dive into our cocktail, our paloma cocktail. And the reason we are creating a paloma cocktail is because the paloma is the most popular cocktail in Mexico. It's a misconception, and people often think that the most popular cocktail is the margarita. And that's true in the United States. The most popular cocktail is the margarita. Whereas in Mexico, the most popular cocktail is the paloma. And it is absolutely delicious. And there's a lot of different ways that you can mix it up. So I'm just going to show you one way that you can do it. But the main ingredients are really tequila and that grapefruit flavor. Okay, so we're going to get started. And you will need, for this cocktail, you're going to need a highball glass. So a highball glass is a little bit shorter and wider than your Collins glass. So I'm sure you're familiar with a Collins glass. So just to give you a little bit of a comparison here. So your Collins glass, as you can see, is a little bit taller and a little bit more narrow. So you've seen these glasses. So your highball glass is just a little bit shorter and a little bit wider. That's the traditional glass we would use for a paloma cocktail. Okay, now to get a little bit fancy, I'm actually going to be salting the rim. Now, you can use a bunch of different salts, but what it's going to do is really give your cocktail that little added, sophistication and that style that you want. So I have some Himalayan pink salt here because the grapefruit juice is pink as well. And I'm going to actually salt my rim. Now, you can salt your rim by actually just running a lime wedge or a lemon wedge on the rim of the glass and go all the way around. But I like to just salt one side of the glass. So what this does for the person drinking the cocktail, it gives them the option to just drink from one side. If there's no straw, they can, without having that salt interaction, because I really don't like when I get a taste of salt in my mouth once the salt is all the way around. So give people the option and salt just one side of your glass. So what you want to do is actually hold the glass upside down, because by holding the glass right side up and as you're squeezing your lime onto the edge, you're going to get those drippings down the side, and then it's going to be a little bit too messy. I'm so excited that you're making it along with me. I'm so glad you guys are joining me. I'm apparently glass illiterate. That's okay. We're here to learn and we're here to share. That's what this is all about, okay? We're going to improve our cocktails and our mixology one step at a time. All right, so you're going to want to hold your glass upside down. And what I'm actually going to do is, instead of just salting the very rim of the glass, I'm going to go up a little bit higher, okay? So I'm going to go up a little bit higher. Okay, just rubbing my lime wedge onto the side of the glass, okay? And I'm holding it upside down so I don't get the drippings going this way on the glass, right? And then you're going to want a bowl of your salt, whatever salt you're using. Again, I'm using the Himalayan pink salt to match my cocktail. And then just go in on a diagonal into the bowl. I'm starting to get, as you can see there, I'm starting to get, I think I've lost a little bit of juice here, because I've got some bald spots on my glass. There we go. All right, so I've got one side of my glass salted there. I'm cooking dinner while watching that. I hope you're making a cocktail to go with that dinner as well. All right, so we've got our glass salted. so I'm going to put this salt away. Okay. And then what you need is your ice cubes. In the last mixology class, we talked a lot about the importance of ice in your cocktail. And so I just want to quickly reiterate how important ice is. And ice is not just meant to keep your cocktail cold, it's all about diluting the drink as well. So making sure that there's that proper level of water content in your cocktail as well. So depending on the size of the ice that you would use, it depends on the speed of the dilution. So the larger the cube that you're using, the slower the dilution, and the smaller the cube that you're using, the faster the dilution. And for this cocktail, we are just using plain and regular ice cubes. So you can go ahead and grab your ice cubes and fill your glass. And just be careful because your rim is salted, so you want to try as much as possible not to disturb that salt. I've got my little cooler underneath here, so I don't have to go too far. All right. Okay. All right, hope you're with me. Mine never used to last long enough to melt the ice. That's okay, that's okay. I'm glad you enjoyed the cocktail. All right, so next you're gonna need your measuring tool. So if you don't have one of these, it's really handy. They're called jiggers. They're just really helpful to measure your cocktails out. So the large bowl at the top here is 2 ounces, and then the smaller bowl at the bottom is 1 ounce. So for this cocktail, we are going to need 2 ounces. So I'm gonna fill up this top bowl. And these are available on our website as well. We sell these exact Sobrii bell jiggers. Love them. All right, so grab your Sobrii Zero Tequila and pour out 2 ounces. All right. And they are so pretty, absolutely. I love them. All right, I hope you guys are with me. So like I said, the next ingredient is the Fever Tree. I hope you can see this with the light. Sparkling pink grapefruit soda. That's what we're going to use next. And again, online on our website, we have cocktail kits. So we sell Sobrii Zero Tequila with the sparkling pink grapefruit so that you can have your palomas right away. All right. And again, if you don't have this, you can also use soda water and a little bit of grapefruit juice, or use grapefruit bitters and soda water. That works as well. As long as you get that grapefruit flavor to make your paloma. All right. So I'm going to pour over my sparkling pink grapefruit. Just be careful of the fizz. You should be able to pour out the entire glass. Should fit in there. If not, that's okay. And right now, our cocktail could be considered finished. You could serve the cocktail just like this. But we're going to make it a little bit more fancy and add some lime juice. So I'm going to use the bottom bowl now of my jigger. Oh, so I had some in there. I'm going to use the bottom bowl now of my jigger to pour out a 1/2 ounce. So remember, this one is 1 ounce, so I need just half of this. And the neat thing about these jiggers is there are lines on the inside to help you measure a 1/4 or a 1/2 ounce. I'm definitely going to have to order some of that Sobrii tequila. Yes, absolutely. So go ahead and pour your lime juice in there. Now I have freshly squeezed my lime juice. It really makes a big difference in the cocktail versus the store-bought, you know, like the real lime juice in the bottle. It really, really makes a much bigger impact when you actually squeeze the limes yourself. And I know I'm guilty of using that too when I don't have time to squeeze my limes, but if you can take a few more minutes to prepare, squeeze out some lime juice for yourself and it really elevates your cocktails. Okay, so the last ingredient is agave, some more agave. We're using the agave syrup. Again, you can get this at most grocery stores, sell this. And I'm just gonna put a tiny bit, just a little bit, just fill up this bar spoon and pour that in right here. Just a little bit of this. There we go. Lovely. I'm gonna give this a quick stir. Are you guys following along? Are you already sipping? Quick stir. Doesn't need much more than that. And again, we could be finished with our cocktail right now, but I want to add a little bit more. There's more we can do with the garnish. So I have a grapefruit here. So what I want to do is actually just have a grapefruit sitting on the edge of my glass. Now you can get as fancy as you like with your garnish. I just want to add a little extra something. So I'm going to slice off a grapefruit wheel and then slice it in half to put it on the edge of my glass. Now this is going to be such a delicious cocktail. So for those of you who are participating in Dry January and going alcohol-free for 31 days, you don't have to give up your favorite cocktails at all. Once you taste this, you're not even going to miss the alcohol, I promise. All right. Apparently, if you microwave your lime, you'll be able to squeeze out so much more. I didn't know that. Hey, we got to try that out. Thank you for sharing that. Awesome. So my grapefruit is quite large, so I'm actually just going to cut out a quarter and put that on the edge of my glass here. Okay. So you'll also need to make a slice in there so you have space to put it on your glass, of course. All right, so now I can easily just go like that. And look at that. Look at that paloma. Cheers to anyone who has been following along. And even if you're not following along right now, you can just sit and absorb everything that we talked about, watch the replay, and then once you have the ingredients on hand, you can go ahead and make this drink. Took us, what, 5-10 minutes, not even, to make this drink? It's so easy. And remember, we sell the cocktail kit, so you can make this quite easily at home. Delicious. Absolutely delicious. How's it tasting? Oh, I see some cheers. Yum, yummy. Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you so much for joining us. Tonight we made the Zero Paloma cocktail, and we do have a surprise at the end. So stay tuned. We've got another 12 minutes of us being together, but we've got a little bit of a surprise at the end. So stay tuned. There's a giveaway coming up. But I hope that you guys enjoyed creating this cocktail with me tonight. Do you guys have any questions? Let me know if you have any questions about this cocktail. Actually, I have some trivia for you guys. So the Paloma cocktail, do you know what the word Paloma means or what it translates to in English? Anyone know? The word Paloma actually translates dove. Isn't that nice?
Hey, Deandra.
Hello, Bob. How are you? This is the creator of Sobrii Zero Gin and Sobrii Zero Tequila.
I know what Paloma means.
You know a lot more, too.
Some days.
Maybe you can share a little bit more about sort of the history and about blue agave and really what is involved in creating Sobrii Zero Tequila.
Yeah, I heard you talking earlier about margaritas and palomas, and in Mexico, that is basically, if you look at what people drink in cocktails, most of tequilas probably consume, or a lot of tequilas consumed straight, are neat. And that's relative. It's similar to, they treat it like Scotch whiskey, so it's a similar type of thing. But when they want a cocktail, when most Mexicans drink a cocktail, their version of rum and coke is basically tequila and grapefruit juice, or grapefruit soda. The main brand down there is one called Squirt, and that was something that came out of the U.S. in the I think it was around in the 50s, and they really loved the combination of this Squirt grapefruit soda and tequila. So that became the Paloma. Paloma actually means dove in Spanish. Why it's actually called a Paloma, nobody really knows. There's several there's several different theories about different bartenders who created this. But it's just a neat sounding name, I think, is how it happened. But that's, from a cocktail perspective, that's why it's so interesting for us that we kind of like to replicate sort of authentic type of experiences. And certainly with the Paloma, it's generally less sweet than a margarita. So I mean, if you've experienced margaritas in a bar setting or a restaurant setting, sometimes the mix that they use can be so sugary that it basically makes your eyes roll. With a Paloma, it's generally always less sweet. So it's a little bit easier drink for us as well because, hand in hand with low alcohol or no alcohol, a lot of people who are interested in this movement, who like this movement, are also interested in lower sugar or no sugar. But certainly with this drink, it's possible to have a fairly low sugar and very tasty cocktail.
Absolutely. And as we know, Sobrii has 0 sugar, 0 calories, 0 hangover. And when we mix it with the Fever Tree Sparkling Pink Grapefruit, there's only 7 grams of sugar in the bottle and 30 calories in the bottle. So it is a really light cocktail in it. And as I'm drinking it, it's just very smooth. Maybe that's where dove came from, the word dove came from. It's very smooth and very tasty at the same time. You having one with me?
Absolutely.
Cheers. So delicious. Now,
okay. And we got one question, Dion. Anything other than grapefruit you'd recommend? Is that for a garnish? Are they requesting is this a garnish? Because certainly anything, I'll take it as if it's a garnish that you're looking for. It's anything probably citrusy that's going to complement the grapefruit if you're using a grapefruit base, obviously for Paloma. So, a lime could particularly work, an orange, depending on your taste. If you don't like grapefruit, you're probably not going to like a Paloma.
Exactly. That's the main flavor here. Celine used a lemon as garnish. That works well as well. I had a lime here as a plan B as well. Definitely works well. Saw us both on Dragon's Den. Yes, we were on Dragon's Den. Thanks for tuning in. Now, Bob, one question that I get asked a lot anytime I talk about Sobrii, of course, is why was tequila the second spirit that we chose to go with? And I figured, who better to answer this than yourself?
Yeah, that's a good question because we get that a lot. So gin was the first one that, in terms of a spirit that I went after because once you the issue with a lot of the spirits is that the overwhelming taste, and of course taste is subjective, but you can pretty much agree on that the overwhelming taste of most spirits is alcohol, is ethanol. So with ethanol, you get a bunch of different sensations, and there are some flavors that come through from the spirit. But in particular in gin, because they infuse it with botanicals and there's a bit of a different process, flavors can come out a little bit better than some of the other spirits, like for example vodka, which is supposed to be tasteless and odorless, and it's not supposed to have basically any sort of taste components from a definitional standpoint. But gin has that. So that gin was an easy one to go after because the botanicals lent itself to developing flavors and tastes and flavors that worked in cocktails that were traditionally the same or authentically close to the experience that you already have with alcohol. With tequila, the reason that I chose that as a second spirit is that again, I'm looking at replicating cocktails, not replicating actual neat shots. So again, and that's I know you covered that off earlier, but it's something we can't say enough. This is not really to replicate. If you want to do neat shots, this is probably not the product for you.
Right.
It's some people actually have told me that they like it like that, but that's not how we recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
So tequila our tequila goes into margarita. Margarita is the #1 cocktail in the U.S. So if we're going after replicating cocktail experiences, then you've got to start picking off some of the larger cocktails. In Canada, probably one of the larger cocktails is a vodka based, and again, I have a bit of an issue with trying to replicate vodka only because it is essentially ethanol is what you're tasting.
Exactly.
So that's kind of the story behind it, and as we go down the road in terms of developing products, I am looking to recreate cocktails. I'm looking to recreate things that people already enjoy, and they want to remove the alcohol or eliminate alcohol out of it.
Absolutely. So that the next question would be, well, what's next?
Pardon me?
The next question would be, what's next? Like, what's the next spirit?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I get
Because I've
that
already made
a lot.
promises. Like, every time I make a promise, then I can't, and then people say, well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? So we are working on some new things, but I think for now, I'm just going to kind of say, yeah, we're working on it, and we'll see what happens. But it'll be a cocktail type of, it'll be a spirit that goes in a cocktail.
Absolutely, absolutely. If there's any more questions, let us know in the chat, and we will be happy to answer those questions. Now, creating the Sobrii Zero Tequila was very different. It was like I said, it was a very different approach from creating Sobrii Zero Gin. And so, Bob, did you want to talk a little bit more about sort of agave and kind of how you started when it came to the flavor profile for Zero Tequila?
Yeah, again, I think with tequila, because it has much more of a really prominent ethanol taste and experience. So most people, when they're drinking tequila, would not be able to distinguish between different tequilas, mostly because the ethanol is so overwhelming on your palate, in your nose, and it affects most of the taste. So trying to recreate, and then looking at that in a cocktail, trying to pull out the different flavors that that map back to tequila. So agave is prominent, although most people won't associate the agave we use with tequila because the smells are different because we don't have ethanol, but it is actually the same base. So that's the kind of approach we took in terms of looking at it, more or less from that standpoint, and then looking at the components we could add to put some heat into it without making that like we didn't want to create, just dump a whole pile of spice into it and make it burn. Mm-hmm. But there's got to be, there is a sensation here that we've developed with the help of black pepper, with the help of jalapeno that we put into it as well, that we macerate and actually put into it, and ginseng as well helps the overall sort of mouthfeel. So the approach was slightly different because, again, with gin, we could use a traditional distillation technique because infusion was part and parcel of that process. With tequila, it's a little bit, the zero tequila, it's a lot different because distillation essentially extracts a lot of the flavor concentrations out of cooked agave. So there was some of that we could use, but it's not as close, for example, as the zero gin. So in the cocktail, we hope that you recognize that and say, our favorite line is, "I love the cocktail. Don't miss the alcohol."
Absolutely, absolutely. So for those of you who are participating in Dry January, I just wanted to reiterate the fact that there is so much exploration that can be done, especially when it comes to Sobrii Zero spirits. Like, you can really try the full range of cocktails out there with Sobrii Zero Gin and Sobrii Zero Tequila and have a really great cocktail experience, and you really won't miss the alcohol. Not to mention being able to avoid all the negative consequences of alcohol while getting those strong flavors still. Do we have any more questions? I just enjoy it, but so much goes into it. Yes, there is. There really is. We're very thoughtful when it comes to bringing out those spirits and coming up with new spirits. So It's much more than flavored water. Believe me, as you can hear from Bob, there's a lot of thought that goes into creating the right mouthfeel and the right flavor in those cocktails. So that's why we're working on the next one, and it does take time because there's a lot of quality that goes into these. Bourbon.
No, I don't. I think whoever said that they like our bourbon the best is it's not ours.
Yes, we've only got Sobrii Zero Gin and Zero Tequila right now. I'm headed to the site to put in my order. Yes, and don't forget you can grab the Paloma cocktail kit, which comes with a 750 ml bottle of the Zero Tequila and also 2 bottles of the sparkling pink grapefruit from Fever Tree.
Yeah, and just anybody that's not in Ontario or west of Ontario, we're still not able to ship, basically due to freezing temperatures. We lost so much product before Christmas that we decided that it wasn't worth trying to, and it's disappointing for everybody, including ourselves, in terms of trying to ship product and having the courier or companies, or particularly Canada Post, let it freeze and you get it frozen and damaged. So
yes.
Until it gets warmer, which is probably going to be another month or so, we'll have to stay away from the West. Other than Vancouver, we're doing some shipping right now with air freight, but you can check it out on the website if you're in Vancouver, and we can help you out.
Yes, absolutely. That is definitely a challenge for the non-alcoholic world because we don't have that alcohol to help with freezing. So that is definitely a struggle.
I often thought that dry January should be another month. It would be a lot easier to ship, but that's exactly. That's the business side of me kicking in.
Exactly. Well, if there aren't any other questions, I'm seeing some people, their dinner is ready to go, and there's lots of love in the comment section. But if there aren't any other questions, Bob and I also want to mention that we have a giveaway. So we have a mule prize pack, or a mule cocktail kit, which comes with mule cups and also ginger beer and also a cocktail shaker. So you have an opportunity to win this. Now, again, like we said, we are shipping only in Ontario right now. So if you live in Ontario, you have an opportunity to get this prize pack as we close out dry January. And what you're going to have to do is, once we post the replay, or if you're watching the replay right now, comment 3 friends that would enjoy a non-alcoholic cocktail with you, and then share this live in your stories and tag @Sobrii0. And we are going to be selecting the winner at the end of the month. Yay! Yes, if you're in Ontario, I'd love it if you participated. We're going to be giving away a mule kit, which is one of Bob and I's favorite cocktail. Amazing, amazing. Are there any last questions, or are you guys just enjoying your palomas and whatever you're sipping on tonight? Lots of love in the chat. Well, thank you so much for joining us for another Sobrii Mixology Masterclass. I hope that you learned something tonight, whether it was about Sobrii Zero Tequila or about the Paloma cocktail itself, or maybe it was a mixology technique that you can now incorporate at home. So thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that you join us next time for our next cocktail.
When is it? When are we doing this next?
Next month. The date is not finalized yet in February. We're shifting things around because of Valentine's Day, but I will let you know very soon. If you're not already on our email list, definitely sign up for our email newsletters, and then we keep you very up to date with our newsletters. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for
Bye-bye. Cheers.
Cheers, everyone. Thanks for joining us.